Aight, my boy, what them gains looking like? Thank you to our $5 patrons, Redwolf 4765, Midnight Gem Lord, and Sean. And another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Redwolf 4765. And another thank you to our $10 patron, Robbie Uchiha. And another very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Now, before I'm this discussion / breakdown on how powerful, how girthy, how mighty the new king of the demon world, Zeldris, truly is, or could be, within the narrative of 4 Knights of the Ababalaba. Please don't forget to leave your own list on how strong Zeldris will be in the comments section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon below where you can support me for as low as $1 to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get these same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? All Punks here, and here we are to talk about how mighty the new king of the demon world, Zeldris, shall now be. Now that he has finally, oh, I'm so happy, finally reappeared within 4 Knights of the Ababalaba. And here's the thing, right? I love my boy Zel. I really do. I love my boy Zel. If you could not tell, I love my boy Zel. One of my favorite characters in the entire original series. Pretty inarguably like a top 10 on a good day for Zel. If I'm feeling extra for my little son, extremely likely he's a top 5 character on a good day. Maybe even top 4. Okay, top 4 is a little crazy, but still a top 5 character. I love my boy. Indubitably. Trust me, you are looking at Zeldris fan 415. However, I have to admit something. If I were to do a top 10 ranking of the strongest characters in original 7 Deadly Sins, Zeldris would not break the top 10. Here's why. He may not even break the top 12. Here's why, alright? Zeldris, he's like, it literally is little brother syndrome personified. And I mean that in like the most ultimate sense. Zeldris is literally just a downgraded Meliodas in every way, shape, and form, to a point where it's legitimately embarrassing in the original series. Zeldris has a lower state of demonic power. He does not have an assault mode in the original series. We'll talk about 4 Knights Zeldris and what he appears to be in. But in the original series, Zeldris does not have an assault mode. Notably, assault mode does appear to be unique to Meliodas in the original series. We have never seen another demon undergo an assault mode of sorts. So maybe it was just Meliodas unique, but that's something Meliodas unique that Zel just didn't have. Another thing that Mel had that Zel just didn't have was an original magic that was actually super duper crazy, insane, next level powerful. And that was his true magic state. Meanwhile, Zel's Demon King magic was Ominous Nebula. And like, trust me, Ominous Nebula is really good, really strong, but like, a high level enough demon could pull off an Ominous Nebula. Mel could literally replicate an Ominous Nebula pretty casually, most likely. Heck, he kinda does with Trillion Dark, but you could definitely argue Trillion Dark is even better than Ominous Nebula because it's numerous projectiles, all with much higher power than the little slashy slash that Zeldris has access to. So Zeldris' own unique magic still isn't that much in comparison to someone like Mel's. And on top of that, Mel also just had better weaponry too. Like, Zeldris, as he says in Cursed by Light, literally just has a hunk of iron. Meanwhile, Meliodas has not only a larger hunk of iron, if you want to talk about Prime Meliodas, but Lost Vein is an infinitely better weapon than anything Zel has access to because it's a sacred treasure. Meaning it gives a higher amp and a unique ability that, once again, Zel does not have access to. And top that off with the fact that, like, Zel without any external amps is... I'm not saying he's fodder. I'm not even saying he's weak. No amp Zel is still pretty easily like a top 15 character in the verse. I'd say pretty solidly. Like, you may be able to make arguments. You may be able to make arguments about a base no amp Zel. But Cursed by Light, even if you want to say that he did get amped by Merlin, you know, taking on the supreme deity, even if at 50% power, is very impressive. It's something that the prime variations of Mel and Elizabeth couldn't do. So like, that is something right there. But even with that, it's still not like the most insane thing. A lot of Zeldris' best abilities, like I'd say his 2 greatest abilities, were once gifted to him and that he can never have access to again. Number one was the Demon King's power. Unfortunately, Zell isn't actually immune to all magic now because he lost that. The Demon King took that bad boy back and then perished. So he doesn't have magic immunity anymore. And the other great ability that he had that also came with the power amp was piety. And piety is super good because people turn their backs in fights all the time. You know how to do a spin attack? Uh-oh, now you are suddenly treasonous. And bada bing, bada boom, you get taken over. But oh wait, that also went up in smoke with the Demon King. So now Zell, he, by end of series, only has Ominous Nebula, DSRA, and that's it. He can't seal your magic away anymore. Oh, he can seal you. He can seal you away. He may not be able to seal your magic, but he can seal you away. That's three things. He has sealing, DSRA, regular demon stuff, and Ominous Nebula. And overall, it's just a it's weird to say a lackluster kit, because like it's lackluster, once again, compared directly to his brother. And he has the Underworld Blaze. But like that's it. He is lackluster compared to his brother. And overall, that leads his power standing kind of awkward. Like, he loses to a lot of people, like pretty solidly, even by Cursed by Light. Because notably, I don't think Cursed by Light Zell is Prime Zell. I know that may sound crazy to y'all, but I do think the prime variation of Zeldris is the one that we see in the battle with Meliodas against the Ten Commandments. Because that Zeldris has everything. He has full amps, he has full magic, he has piety, Demon King's power, bro is on deck. But even then, we see that a full amps, full power Prime Zell is still like weaker than post-resurrection assault mode Meliodas. That's no good. Like, bro's kind of fodder. And that's unfortunate. That's mighty unfortunate for Zell. But we do have some contingencies, some things that we can ride for Zell for him to be much more powerful by his incarnation that we see within the most recent chapter of Four Knights. Number one, it seems like he does now have an assault mode, which is fantastic. Notably, I'm still not like 1,000, 100 million, billion% sure what the assault mode multiplier is, because there's like no quantification for it. If you go by numbers, which is the only quantification we can use, it's like a 2.4 times multiplier. That's it. I don't know. It should be higher. It should be much higher, considering the fact that Meliodas does get stronger while existing in the form. And notably, the immediate assault mode that we see and get a number for is not the final assault mode. And I think it would be kind of weird if assault mode was literally just like a 2.4 times multiplier and not like anything higher than that. Like, oh, you're only 0.4 times stronger than Demon Mark. I think it should be more than that, but that's the only hypothetical quantification we have. But even still, just a new form for Zeldris is fantastic, especially considering what assault mode gives Zell access to ability-wise. Already, Zell was a highly masterful manipulator of darkness, like forming darkness into weapons, blades, wings, all that. And obviously, Ominous Nebula is literally just darkness manipulation, but giving him a full outfit, a full kit of darkness, quite literally, and giving him access to all the things that Meliodas could do with darkness, aka fighting multiple people at once, having a general indestructible layer of armor over a majority of his skin at all times. That is really, really good. And also the multiplier. The multiplier is fantastic. And with that being the case, that slides him up a decent chunk. Admittedly, completely unquantifiable chunk, like, which is unfortunate. We have no idea. But if I had to take a guess, Nakaba isn't gonna like slide us him getting into assault mode and him being the new king of the demon world, and also hint at a few things without making Zeldris much more powerful than he was in the original series. But I suppose the main question is how? How did Zeldris get so strong? And only legitimately, 16 years? What could bro been doing? Did bro just go to the gym every day? One thing that we do know is that Zeldris and Mel are most likely kind of immortal. Like, mostly immortal, or at least super duper juper long lived. Unlike Elizabeth, who unfortunately lost her goddess flesh like 3,000 years ago, the brothers are the same brothers that they were legitimately 3,000 years ago. Like, nothing has changed. They are literally the exact same people, but now 3,000 years later, because Zeldris got sealed for 3,000 years, and Meliodas' body and aging stopped for 3,000 years. More than 3,000, because, you know, the purgatory stuff, but still, that means that Zeldris had a whole bunch of lifespan to burn. Notably, we don't know about the longevity of vampires within the Seven Deadly Sins universe, but presumably both of Mel and Zell, being royal children of the Demon King, direct biological children no less, they should have a little bit of that extra sauce to them. And by sauce, I mean lifespan. Need I remind you that the Demon King lived in purgatory for over 1 billion years. 1.5 billion, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think the number is like 1,576,000,000. So like, that's a long time. That's a very, very long time. And we know that the Demon King got big. Like, big. Like, we see the Prime Demon King. The Prime Demon King, while tall, is like 10 feet tall. The old Demon King that we see after a 1.5 billion year time skip, he's like a little bit taller than like a hill. So they have a lot of growing to do still, considering Mel and Zell both are still extremely tiny. So it's highly likely, unless their mother was literally like 2 feet tall, that they have a whole lot more growing to do, and they have a whole lot more lifespan to burn. So how could Zell have gotten so mighty, so powerful, so girthy? Well, now that the Demon King's gone, and there are ways to get to purgatory, or from purgatory, it's entirely likely, especially considering we know there are royal mages and there are other scholars within the demon world that, you know, have information on other realms and stuff like that. If humans could figure out a way to get there, it wouldn't be too shocking to me if Mel and Zell went there. Especially considering it's noted by Nakaba, not by Nakaba, but it's noted in the narrative that Mel has visited the demon world. He brings back stuff for Hendrickson to use in the clinic from the demon world. And obviously, don't get me wrong, it could just be that Mel just went to visit. Like, he has nieces and nephews, or one or the other over there, and obviously he loves his baby brother, so he wants to go see him as often as he can, and whenever he can, so he slides out, runs to the demon world through one of the many portals that exist there, and just hangs out with Zell. But we gotta remember, after 7 Deadly Sins, Mel knew that at any moment Arthur could become a viable threat. Like, he could literally flip Britannia upside down. And sure, he does have the other sins. He has King, he has Bon, he has Diane, he has Gother. But with the exception of Gother, and maybe King, because King is also super duper long lived if Gerhardt is any example, considering she hasn't aged in literally 3,000 years. Really 4,000, but like 3,000 years. She has not aged at all. It's not too entirely unreasonable that Mel would like a sparring partner to go into purgatory. Bon can't do that anymore as far as we know, unless he has the lingering effects of the Fountain of Youth and he's going to, you know, stay alive for a lot longer than a regular human would. He can't really burn his lifespan. He has a wife and a kid that are already going to have a super limited time with him, so he needs to stay in the mortal realm. King is just not built for purgatory. Not only is he not immortal, for one, but two, fairy biology and purgatory do not mix all too well, at least from what I can tell. The absolute void of organic or regular life there would be absolutely terrible for King, and plus King has kids, so it's very likely that he would not want to leave them for an extended period of time. Same with Zell, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Diane, another case where I just don't think she would mix with purgatory that well, and I also don't think she'd be that effective of a training partner. Like, no offense to Diane, but like, she's fodder. But with that being the case, I don't think Diane would go there with him either. But, hypothetically, considering Mel knows that Arthur could become a viable threat at any moment, and that Arthur could hypothetically harbor a hatred, a despise, a dislike of all the other species, he would probably want all the other realms defensible on their own. The fairy realm will be naturally defensible. Even if King does not go to train with Meliodas or anything like that, King is still extremely powerful. It's a reason why he's very likely still alive. Benwick is under the defense of Bond. Once again, extremely powerful. Likely the reason he is still alive, even though Arthur should be able to absolutely annihilate Bond, but, you know, another story for another day. And same thing with the Celestial. Well, the Celestial Realm stuck out a lot. The Celestial Realm has nobody. The Celestial Realm could be invaded tomorrow, and then the Celestial Realm is going to fall, because there's no one in there that could actually defend it. But considering Mel would have direct ties to the demon world and would want its new ruler to be powerful enough to defend it in case Arthur goes bonkers, especially now with the knowledge that it's just common knowledge that there are a whole bunch of demon world portals around that can be led to the demon world, an invasion of the demon world isn't all too unlikely. They don't have any immediate defense systems. They have people that literally need to go like wander and go tell the king that, hey, something's popping off here. Then it would make sense to me that Mel would think about it this way. I need a training partner to make sure I can stay in shape and also catch up to my original self, my true magic self, just in case Arthur goes a little bit buku bonkers, and I need to stop him. Huh. I have a little brother who should also be fundamentally immortal with me, or at least in the longevity sense, who can also survive purgatory. Remember, demons, they should be able to eat purgatory pretty darn well. Not the best, not as good as an immortal would, like Bon, but better than the other races. Remember, in essence, and it's going to sound like a really over-reduction of it, but remember, purgatory is just demon realm on hard mode. Like, all that miasma and deep poisonous fog that exists within purgatory, demon world has that too. The massive, dangerous, and powerful beings that can interact with or literal manifestations of souls, demon world has that too. The unhealthy environment that is deadly to all the other races and could warp and destroy the body and mind of the other races, demon world has that too. Like, legitimately, the demon world is just a soft version of purgatory, or vice versa, or they're pretty much the darn near same thing. So, what could work, considering that the regular world, the demon world, the mortal realm, and all the other realms flow on the same time scale as each other, but purgatory is different? Zell could have gotten a whole bunch of extra training by hopping in purgatory alongside his brother. This would make sense because Mel is much stronger than he should be. Like, I've talked about this before, but base Mel being able to pull up on 16 years of training Chaos Arthur at all, even if Arthur was chilling around in base, and being able to block a rabid chaos that's coming out to protect Arthur, casually, once again, all in base, is a little bit bonkers. He should not be that powerful by the original series indication, but he is, and who could help him train to that level, if not King, Bond, Diane, or anyone like that? It could be Zell. It could be Zell, and that would explain Zell having assault mode, because now they aren't just like fighting alongside each other, breathing the same air like they were 3,000 years ago, but now they could spend a whole bunch of time together. Meliodas could literally break down the fundamentals of the form to Zell so Zell could understand it and utilize it himself. And also, once again, going back to the idea of buffing Zell to keep the demon world safe, that would literally buff Zell to keep the demon world safe. Those two train together, burn a bit more of their literal nigh on infinite lifespan, would be fantastic for both of them. They just go in there once a day. Once again, Meliodas can casually just show up in the demon world, say, hey, deuces, I'm going to gate 127, gonna go visit Zell. Elizabeth would be like, oh, okay, love you, honey. And then he would pat Tristan on the head. Tristan would be like, I hate you, Dad. And then he would wander off, go to the demon world, be like, hey, yo, Zell, you know what time it is? Oh, is it this time of the month again? Fine, let's go. And they both dive into purgatory, do a whole bunch of training, sparring, fisticuffing, and then they come out looking barely any different. Because once again, they can go in there for a whole day and come out, what, 1,440 years older, but they would have only gotten through 0.000096% of their lifespan. So they'd barely look any different. That's why Mel and Zell would barely look any different. So if they do that, once again, they could do that literally, let's just say they did that 16 times. Let's say it was a once in a year affair. If they did that 16 times over, they would still have only burned through 0.001536% of their lifespan. That's pretty darn good. Once again, it gets the returns. It would make sense why Zell now has assault mode, because he would have been in there training with the only other person in the entire verse to have assault mode. It would make sense why Mel is so much stronger than he is, because he would have not a relative training partner. I still think Mel slams Zell, but still a training partner of decent variety that could actually coexist with him in purgatory. Zell would get purgatory amps. Bro could become beastly, and he could now be a proper king and a proper protector to the demon world, even without all the fancy extra powers. Sure, would it be nice if he had a true magic form? Yeah. Would it be nice if he had a ruler type magic? Yeah, but he doesn't need that if his gains are so insane. And that would also explain why Arthur has done nothing but like slightly poke the demon world, steal a couple random fodder. If Zell is more than powerful enough to come in and like hold off or essentially bully any Chaos Knights that show up because he's been training in the hyperbolic time chamber with Mel, it would make sense. Especially considering the fact that there's no other reason for Arthur to have not invaded the demon realm. Like, if he really wants it gone, he should just go ahead and get it gone. Maybe you could argue he wouldn't do it because he wants to do like the Coffin of Eternal Darkness thing, but even still, if he could do it, he should do it. Or if he could send Chaos Knights to rough up Zeldris, he would send Chaos Knights to rough up Zeldris. But he hasn't. And Zell has come back seemingly stronger than ever. So it would make perfect sense to me if Zell got his gains up, know what I'm saying? Got entrained up, know what I'm saying? And once again, it would only be for a day. It'd be one thing if the demon world ran on a different time scale than everyone else. But like, my dad, he left me for more than a day. He's left me, at least back when I was young pencil, he left me for more than a day and I was just fine. I was left without my father for more than a day and I was fine. So I think Zel's kids will be fine, and he wouldn't mind disappearing on, for their perspective, what would be a day. So this wouldn't even break Zeldris' character, and it would explain the power buff and the amp he's gotten. But I've been out here justifying why Zel should be massively stronger. But where do I think Zel should be? Like, what kind of potential do I think Zel has that would put him up here in this, like, next level echelon, this sitting in assault mode level state? Like, what would I really think it would put him? Where would Nakaba, if I'm Nakaba Suzuki and I'm writing Zeldris and I'm going to put him, bring him back for Four Knights of the Apocalypse, where would I put him power-wise so it makes sense, but it's not, like, worthless? What kind of power amp would I give him? That's a good question. Let me tell you what. I would make Zeldris pretty much, this is going to sound wild, Final Shine Escanor tier. And if you don't know what I mean by Final Shine Escanor, I mean like the Escanor that was pulling up on the Prime Demon King in that final battle. That kind of level of power. If not, and this may sound a little bit bonkers, I know y'all may get on me for this, if not, just make him Prime Demon King level. And here's why, right? Prime Demon King level is still well below Chaos. Prime Demon King level is still well below True Magic Mel. Prime Demon King level is just enough for him to be respected and revered as a king of the demon world. Notably, a big thing that Zeldris mentions as Meliodas is about to throw his magic away and annihilate the commandments is like, whoa, bro, you could literally rule the demon world like this. Like, this is the power we could use to give our home a new ruler. And I was like, really? You want me to rule by fear? You want me to stomp on people? Like, I can do that. I can do that right now. In fact, you'll get stepped on right in this moment. And sure, Zel coincides or concedes in that moment. It's like, you know what? You're right. Hold on. Fine. Go ahead. Do it. Get rid of it. But it would make sense if there was a Demon King level threat chilling around Purgatory. Or not Purgatory. Chilling around the demon world and being its new ruler. And if Prime Demon King is too high for you, let him be at the level of the Demon King from 3,000 years ago. Because that Demon King may not even, I don't even think that Demon King's like top 5. He's not top 5. It may not even be top 10. Like, because Prime Demon King is massively above that Demon King over 3,000 years ago, because it's only 50% of the Demon King's power. So, like, putting Zel at that level or Prime Demon King level is appropriate in my mind. And here's why. I know a lot of people are going to say, whoa, that's way too high. Like, especially considering we have characters who are still nowhere near that tier, like the Prime Demon King, if he were to be thrown within 4 nights, would still be crazy. You gotta realize it's still not exactly that insane. Once again, look at Lance. We already have Lance, who's out here being extremely powerful, and he's one of our main cast members. He's already at that level. And by doing that, I think Nakaba has revealed to us that he's not afraid to power creep characters. Like, a lot. Like, Lance being as powerful as he is before the 100 chapter mark or early into the hundreds is absolutely insane. And it's kind of just a telling thing to me that Nakaba's not afraid to power creep people. Once again, look at Base Mel. Base Mel pulling up and blocking what would be a crazy kind of low-key bloodlusted Chaos is out here trying to protect Arthur. Once again, all in base. That's a very hefty amount of power creep for him to be doing. Having us before the 100 chapter mark, having characters that are out here brawling with or being directly above Chaos commandments or Fuse commandment tier fighters, obviously the power creep is a lot higher than it was compared to the original series. We have not necessarily, like, you may have been able to delude yourself into believing, oh, we leveled out, we'll reset into lower amounts of power, like before chapter 45 in Four Nights, because, you know, everyone was kind of around season 1 level at that point. But no, in a matter of like 30 chapters, we leaped massively. In a matter of 50 chapters, we leaped even more massively. So Zeldris, especially if he does have, you know, a little bit of purgatory sauce and that little purgatory juice, a little bit, it wouldn't be too outlandish to me for him to be Demon King level. Because, like, once again, we do need that kind of level of power to justify why Arthur hasn't invaded. We also need that kind of level of power because it's been 16 years. It's been 16 years, and so far, every single character of, like, any sort of significant importance from the previous series has seemed stronger by a decent margin than they were before. Look at Gother. Gother has gotten some gains, like massive AoE illusion spells, even bigger twin bow Herod, like that's pretty beefy. Mel, obviously way stronger. Hauser got done dirty, but he wasn't like anyone of extreme power. Zel is starting off with a super high base and has all the tools, and I mean all the tools to become Demon King level, as long as Nakba wants to write it that way. And once again, him being Demon King level doesn't mean that he's gonna be like overly powerful or break the plot. Lance is arguably beyond Demon King level, and even he hasn't broken the plot yet. Keyword is yet. But like, that's the thing. That level of power, while it may seem a little bit absurd, a little bit ludicrous, not only is it out of the realm of possibility for Zeldris and his potential, not only is it out of the realm of possibility because Zeldris has the tools for it, and it's not only out of the realm of possibility because he's the literal ruler of the demon world, so it would make sense if he was on the level of his father, at least of 3,000 years ago. But also, I just think it would be good for his character. It would help a lot with his, like, off-screen development. One of the biggest things that Zeldris had in the original series, and one thing that he even admits when he's fighting the Demon King in his own soul / mind / whatever space that was in, it was like, I know in the real world I'm not as strong as you or Mel. I know that's just not me. I'm not that guy, pal. I know. But it don't matter. I'll be my own man. But now he can be his own man and be that powerful. And notably, once again, he doesn't have to break the plot. Like, not at all. It's the same reason Meliodas doesn't break the plot. Like, in the slightest, because he's landlocked. He's locked down to Leonis or whatever journey he's going on individually to go find Nabuzu. He's not traveling around the main cast. He won't break the plot. Same thing with Zeldris. Zeldris is not traveling around the main cast, nor will he randomly. So him being Demon King level and wandering around, whether it be Prime, 3,000 years ago, the start of the battle, like first form DK Zel level, regardless, him being that level is just good for his character and his scaling, so I could throw him in more versus battles. But also, it's good for his character development, and also, it makes sense without shattering the plot. If we make him any stronger, that's when I think we start to run into issues. If we make him any stronger, then I gotta start asking questions. Like, okay, if these Chaos Knights are running around and causing trouble in your kingdom, why don't you just pull up on Camelot yourself? I know why, but still, like, if we make them stronger than that, I think it's worrisome. Because, like, there are tiers to it. Zeldris is, like, by end of original series, he's in that, like, peak command, well, not peak commandment, but, like, slightly above, somewhere in the general above Archangel tier, up there with Mayel and characters of that ilk, like, maybe, like, Gother and Diane. He's in, like, that tier of power. So, like, the next tier up would be Deity tier. Like, in that supreme deity Demon King tier of power. So I think him rising one tier is fine. Just like kind of pretty much every other character has risen up a tier, except for maybe Gother, because I'm not sure where Gother is, because once again, he was running into and dealing with fodder for the most part. So, but still, that kind of level of power, it makes sense. It makes sense for my boy. And you may think I'm like overestimating Zeldris. Like, yeah, sure, Pencil, you can come up with the perfect scenario for why Zeldris used every single tool properly in his disposal to become so perfectly powerful that he's now an equal to his father through sheer training alone. Sure. But you only have one panel of him. There's no evidence that he could reach Demon King tier in just 16 years, or use all the tools properly, or if they even have an access route to Purgatory. And you're right, you're absolutely right. However, hear me out. We know for a fact that Zeldris' body knows what it's like to be at the level of the Prime Demon King. We know that for a fact, because, remember, it's not like the Demon King possessed Zeldris' body and pretty much overwrote his body data. No, bro beefed up Zeldris' base body so much with the 10 Commandments and all the extra restorative amps that he got to his prime self as an equivalency. That was still Zeldris' body. Zeldris' body has full right to remember the gains, the power, the juice that was pumping through him. And we've seen, once again, through his older brother, that if the body can remember what it's like to be that powerful, it can work to be that powerful within relatively short spans. This happens to Meliodas all the time in the original series. Heck, his Berserk transformation in Season 1 is literally his body being like, wait a second, I'm remembering how to do this. I know I have more power capable within me. Let me see if I can flex a little bit. Even once he got his post-druid power up back, you see that his body just casually immediately adapted because it had that level of power before. There was no delay. It's not like Mel had to fancily remember how to fight or anything like that. No, bro just had it back on him because it was like it never left. And heck, even when he gets into his post-resurrection self and his mind is wiped, his body once again remembers, wait a second, I wasn't this fodder before. I'm just going to chill in assault mode and start revving up my power again. And it slowly started to build and build and build until he was pretty much an equal to his prime self without the commandment. So his body can remember data like that. Demonic bodies, especially royal demonic bodies, can remember the states of power that they were at and can very likely reach them by training. Another reason why I think Mel is so strong. His body still remembers what true magic is like, and thusly it's like, wait a second, I may not be able to have it, but I'm going to get close to it, or like it's going to work towards it. That would explain Pace Mel being able to do anything against the Chaos King Arthur. Like, that explains all that, because his body legit remembers what it's like to be the second strongest thing in the verse. And it's like, hold on, I can work towards that. Let me cook a little bit. And it cooked. So I can see the same thing with Zeldris. The main excuse we could have, the main excuse that Nakaba could make, is that Zeldris' body genuinely remembers what it's like to be the Prime Demon King, or even any level of Demon King. He had that power coursing through his veins, so he knows the level of strength he needs to be at. He has felt that before. He knows when he would reach Prime Demon King level, or reach any Demon King level, because he had multiple stages of it, from the first form DK Zel to the second form DK Zel to the third form DK Zel. He has 3 different levels that he could all biologically remember and work towards. So it's not even too crazy or too out the docket or out of pocket that he could figure out how to reach back to that level of power, considering his body has already proven that it can achieve it. Can it go farther? Who knows? I have no clue. I think low-key that Meliodas and Zell kind of have infinite potential. They can just keep training and training and training. They'll probably see diminishing returns, but they can probably just keep going and going and going. But at bare minimum, we know for a fact that Zeldris' body can reach that level of power within a relatively short span, of course with extra help, but still a relatively short span. His body can reach that level of potential. It has the hypothetical juice locked inside it. All Zeldris needs is the right conditions to bring that level of juice back out. He won't have the commandments. He won't have the Demon King's power. He won't have any extra juice. But the internal juice, the feeling, the memory, the existence as a primordial deific being, like being the Demon King, is probably ingrained in Zeldris' flesh, bones, and DNA. So it's more than likely, especially if even some of the conditions are met, some training, some preparation, an unlocking of Assault Mode, if any of those conditions are met, he could definitely reach the lower tiers of power. He can be Final Shine Escanor level. He can be Demon King level. He may be even able to reach Prime. They don't write it off. Don't be shocked. Nakaba, he's shown that he's willing to do it with the older bro, so why not the younger? But I do believe that it is legitimately impossible for Zeldris to just be like 0.4 times stronger than he was 16 years ago. Even just twice as strong as he was 16 years ago. I think Zeldris is massively more powerful. Where would I put him generally? Like, if I had to just take a spitball, I'd put him once again at the level of his father. Lowballing it, if I'm super duper crazy lowballing Zeldris, and where I would put him by trying to keep him balanced, but trying to make him just broken enough so he's not the same as he was 16 years ago, I'd put him at the level of his dad from 3,000 years ago, before the whole end of the Holy War stuff, when it was just his dad at 50% power, 50% of the commandments. That's it. If I were mid-balling, if I were to put him at a nice little mid-ball, I would literally just do first form DKZL level, that level. Pretty decent, pretty powerful, but still weaker than characters like base post-Purg Mel, relative to characters like Prime Elizabeth, relative to characters like, well, not necessarily relative, Bond would slam first form DB Keys, but like in that sort of tier of power, that would be fine. If I'm like jagging it, if I'm really telling you that, yes, I want Zell to really be a proper threat, put him at Prime Demon King tier. I'm putting him up there, and the main thing is, the main balancing act is that he doesn't have to do anything. He literally has to do nothing but exist. Exist and be at that level. Because that explains every single reason why the Demon World is still the Demon World and not Camelot 2.0. You can sneak some invasions in there, you can do a little bit of damage, you can cause a little bit of hassle and a little bit of trouble, but you aren't going to run up in there as a random and actually do anything to the son of the Demon King, who's now the new Demon King, because he's literally at the power level of his father when his father was in his prime. At least those are my thoughts. That's what I like to think is reasonable for explaining why the Demon World is still an autonomous entity and not simply a vassal of Camelot on some Bridget from Fire Emblem Three Houses type beat. Though, once again, I can see lower. I can definitely see lower. I don't think he's weaker. I think he is, an even lower ball for Zell. If we're going to keep even lower balling him, if he's not going to be like Demon King from 3,000 years ago level, if we're going to be like the absolute minimum, he has to be as strong, if not slightly stronger, than what I view as his prime self, aka him amped with piety and the Demon King's power. This will be at least stronger than that, or else I don't necessarily get the point. Regardless, he's going to be stronger than all the 4 knights except for Lance. I think that is just verbatim it. no doubt in my mind that he would be able to slap Melagallon too, even with all of Gallon's self-slop and fusing with Melascula. I think he would be able to slap that individual even with his like end of series self. So I think he should at least be more powerful than his previous prime state, even if he's lacking the hacks and abilities. But overall, I'm super duper excited for Zel. Obviously, he is one of my favorite characters. I'm super happy to have him back. I'm super excited to see what Nakaba does with him, if anything. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he will be no more than a cameo, but this is a Demon World arc. We are leaping into a new arc, meaning we are probably going to spend some time here. We're going to see some great dynamics. I'm super excited to see Zeldris, and I'm going to even make a whole video talking about Zeldris' hypothetical dynamics with the new cast of characters that we have roaming around now. Super duper excited. I love Zel. I hope you love Zel. But please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. How powerful do you think Zel is? How do you think he got that powerful? How do you feel about Zel having Assault Mode and hypothetical other new abilities now after 16 years? Are you excited? Are you unexcited? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.